Hi guys, welcome to another Barb Stamps video. Today's video is for the Color Fusers blog hop. Today's colors are Blueberry Bushel, Real Red, Gray Granite, and Basic Black. And I've created this card using those colors along with our Sailing Home bundle. This is an amazing bundle. You're going to want to get it because you're going to love it. So it's got the stamp set along with the smooth sailing dies. And I've gone ahead and taken all the stamps that I could, inked them all up, cut them with the different dies that are in the set. We've got some seaweed here. We've got the ship's wheel. We've got the rope tied in a knot. We've got the long rope. We have the little compass pointer here that goes onto this compass stamp right here. And just as an FYI, the lighthouse is in the high tide stamp set. You can die cut those with this same die that cuts this lighthouse here. You may have to get rid of the ground if you don't, you don't want that there, but isn't that amazing? Little tip for you. So let me go ahead and get my supplies for this card and we will get started. All right, here are the supplies to create the card. We have a 3.5 by 4 3/4 inch piece of our watercolor paper. I've got a scrap of white, a scrap of gray granite, and a scrap of real red for some stamping and die cutting. And then I have a 3 5/8 by 4 7/8 piece of basic black. And then I have my main card base, which is gray granite 8.5 by 5.5. So to start with, we're going to start with our watercolor paper and we're going to do a little bit of watercoloring. So I'm going to bring in my aqua painter and some paper towels. And then I have my Blueberry Bushel ink pad. And I've got some ink already squished into the lid. And all I did was just take my pad and just kind of squeeze it together like this. And then that does get some ink into the lid. I'm going to bring in a stack of scrap paper so that while I'm coloring, I'm not going to get anything on anything else. So what I kind of want to do is I just want to kind of make a little bit of a water scene at the bottom of this paper here. So we're going to squeeze the pen, get some water flowing there. There we go. And then I'm going to mix some of this up. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of draw in some water. Now, mind you, I am really not a wonderful watercolorer. I am not anywhere close to great at it. I dabble in it and I do my best. So I'm just going to color the whole bottom layer of the paper here, and then I'm going to try to make my kind of peaks in the water a little higher. Again, like I said, I'm not a professional. We just need some water for our ships to be sailing on. Okay, then I am going to kind of dip into the dark and then just kind of throw that in there a little bit. And I'm just kind of swirling it around, just trying to lay down some color for that. Okay. And once it looks like you might want it to stay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. And then you could go ahead and use it. Now to clean your brush, you just squeeze the water through and then just let it push all that blue out of my pen. Okay, and that's that. So we're going to close this up. So I would set this aside to dry. And of course, by the miracle of TV, I have one that I did earlier that is dry, and you can see the paper does buckle slightly. So I just kind of take my hand and just kind of try to roll it back into shape there. Okay, so that's ready. We're going to actually add that to our piece of the basic black. But before we can assemble everything, I will need to stamp a few more items. So this piece here, I'm going to take to my die cut machine, and I'm going to cut out a, what do you call that thing? The ship's wheel. And we're going to get that done. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment on a piece of Real Red. And this says thanks. I don't know about you guys, but I am always in the need for thank you cards. Okay, So we're going to stamp that. Bring in my die set here. And this is my little label. It's this one right here. And I'm going to just place that right over the top of my sentiment. And then I've got my ship's wheel in here. And I'm going to place that on that. So those two pieces are ready. I also have two sailboats here. I have a smaller one and a larger one. So we're going to stamp them both on this piece of Whisper White. This is just a scrap. All right, and we'll just stamp that one right here, like so. Let them dry just a tad. So I ended up messing up that other piece of paper that we were using, and so this is the one that I just watercolored for you. So we're going to end up using that, and we're going to stamp our birds. So I'm going to ink them up, and we're going to just go ahead and press them into place. And I'm also going to stamp some, I think, right down here. There we go. So that looks pretty good. So we're going to let those dry. We may stamp some more after we get the ships on there, but the sailboats on, but I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so we need to color the sailboats, and to do that, I'm going to bring in my gray granite ink pad, and I do have some ink in the bottom of the pad there. I've got my aqua painter here. I've got a little bit of water in on my brush already. And I'm just going to lightly color in the boat here. A little bit down here at the bottom. A tiny bit darker on the edges, only because that's where all the shadowing already is. So I'm going to just start there and bring in some of that darkness. Get some of that water out of my pen. Bring that together. Get this blended together here a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to come up here and get the sails. Just really lightly. I don't want the whole thing, you know, super colored. But I don't want them white. There we go. Squeeze my pen until it's clear. Go ahead and put the lid back on. Get my paper towel out of the way. All right, and so I've got my light real red Stampin' Blend marker, and I'm just going to add a tiny bit of red just in a couple of spots here, just to kind of tie in that red that we're going to be using on the sentiment piece. Okay, so now I am going to take all these things over to my Big Shot, die cut everything, and I'll be back. All right, so I have my two sailboats, I have my ship's wheel, and my sentiment. So now we can move some of these things out of the way. Go ahead and add this to that layer. And when I use watercolor paper, I like to use liquid glue, and I like to go all around the edges with the glue, because the paper does tend to curl a little bit because it's gotten wet. And so just to make sure that it's going to stick really nice, I do like to put, you know, a small bead of glue around the entire edge. That way I'm going to be sure that it's going to be caught. The glue is going to catch on everything. And then I'll just scribble some in the center. All right. Go ahead and get this on our layer of black. Okay. All right, and maybe we can set our sailboats on here. And then we can add our little sentiment piece down on this end. And I thought if I added the sentiment over the ship's wheel, that might be kind of a cool effect there. There we go. And I think I might add a couple more, like another set of birds right in there. So we've got this here. You can see I smudged that bird just a little bit, so I'm trying to cover that up. You can always do that with your crafting. You can always find ways to fix things, I've found. So we're going to go ahead and ink this up. And maybe we'll add some birds down here near the water. Okay. There we go. I think that will work. Yeah, maybe if we slide that one over, we can get that one just up here. Or we can try the large sailboat. And maybe then the small one here. I think that might work. Scoot this down just a hair. Or up. Get that around there. I think that's going to work. So let's go ahead and add our ships with some dimensionals. I think we can use both the large and the small. Just put a couple on this one here. And again, we're just going to try to hide that bird that we had a little trouble with. And then for this boat here, I think I'm just going to put one at the bottom. And then maybe a tiny bit of glue right here at the top of the sail. Like that. And then we're going to add a dimensional here. Maybe a small one right there where the ship's wheel goes. And then this little guy we're going to actually glue to the ship's wheel, so we'll add some glue here. Maybe we'll have it offset. Try to get that centered. Okay. And then we can go ahead and add our ship's wheel right over here, like that. Go ahead and close up the ink. And then I'm going to add some glue to the back of this piece. And this one we don't need to be as careful with because it doesn't have any, it's not watercolored, so it's not buckled at all. Okay, get that on there straight, try to. All right, and I think that looks pretty good. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this card, and check out using some of these colors for yourself in your next creations. I would love to see your orders at shoppingwithbarb.com. We have our brand new catalog coming out on tomorrow, actually, the day after this video goes live. So June 4th, our new catalog goes live. I'd love to have your business at shoppingwithbarb.com. Be sure to purchase the Sailing Home bundle because you're going to love it. And again, thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.